Oh, good. It does work. Excellent. Hello. Looks like we're on. Hello. Oh, shoot. Light. Hello, SJS Smiley. Hello, hello. SJS Smiley, check, audio check, mic check. Are we good? Check, check. Check, check, 1, 2, check, check. Okay, Shirley. Mint tea. Okay, let's talk about tea for a second. Mint tea. Time out. This is important. All right, I think I'm good. I think I'm good to go. I think I'm good to go. I have, hold on, I have tea as well. Hey, Ray Dang. Hey, Ray Dang. So I have tea. Here we are. I have a piece of ginger in here. And also I have, okay, the tea that I am having is, well, it has a slice of ginger in here, but ginger and turmeric. That's it. Ginger and turmeric is my tea. So for years I used to drink green tea. I mean, for years I used to drink green tea. Then I stopped, and then I stopped drinking green tea. I think I stopped for like a good 3, 4 years. I stopped drinking tea. Then all of a sudden last year, um, I got back into it largely because of digestive reasons and health reasons. I've gotten back into drinking tea. So my favorite teas now are ginger and lemon, or peppermint during if the weather is nice, and also because I read about this and they said it's great for like to lower your blood pressure is that red thing, hibiscus. So those are the three teas that I really like these days. Ginger and lemon, peppermint is probably like number three, uh, and hibiscus. My top two right now are hibiscus and it's definitely ginger and lemon for um, for especially for digestive purposes. Yeah, I do drink green every so often, but you know, um, it just feels like it doesn't have much flavor to it now. I mean, I'll still drink it, but yeah. Anyway, so hello everyone. It's now 4:30 to well a little bit late. 4:32. It's Thursday. This is to do the usual spiel, no PSA. This is Introduction to Cybersecurity offered at Tufts University. I'm Ming Chow, Associate Teaching Professor, yada, yada, yada. And today we're going to do malware. We're going to do hands-on demonstration of malware. Um, Malware is a very relevant topic, extremely relevant topic up to this day. Um, Something that's not going away anytime soon. And it's often it's a lot of misconceptions and terminology issues. So what we're going to do today is I am going to start off. I want to give a PSA to start off on learning resources. Then we're going to spend today doing not one, not two, but three live demonstration of malware and what it is. But before we do the demonstration of malware, I want to say, first of all, I'm not the subject, I'm not like a ninja or an expert on malware analysis. There are tons of people who does that stuff way better than I can. Um, but the number two thing is, if you want to learn malware and malware analysis, there are so many great resources out there although the one small issue is there's almost too many resources. So you may be asking, like, okay, um, I want to learn more about this. I want to get the basics and also like the tools and techniques of what do I do. And the number one answer I always give to people is if you're interested in learning about malware and malware analysis, go and take a look. Go and not actually don't not even that. Don't even just look, but actually do the reverse engineering 101 workshop um, presented by that is created as freely available by Malware Unicorn. So I want to give a shout out to Malware Unicorn. Her name is Amanda Rousseau. There's a great article about her in Teen Vogue. Yeah. This was written in 2017. She shares what it's like really being a female hacker and why people should make it a hacking job. She was a malware researcher at Endgame, but the last time I checked, she moved on from Endgame. Um, but one of her resources that she got is go to malwareunicorn.org. And there is the Reverse Engineering 101 workshop. Now, why did I bring this up? Like, why am I showing her work? Well, for years, for years at DEF CON, um, Malware Unicorn, Amanda, would give this workshop, this hands-on workshop to our village at the Packet Hacking Village. So she's a friend of ours for all these years. And she would give a course on reverse engineering malware. And basically it's this course. And this is freely available for everyone. You even get the time remaining. You get the introduction, where you'll learn what is reverse engineering. So this is interesting because you may be wondering how I designed the cybersecurity course throughout this whole semester. And that is, there's a reason why. I went from networking to attacking networks to cryptography. We even did things like scanning and sniffing, packet analysis, cracking passwords, um, vulnerabilities, CVEs, CWEs, then web security, then static and dynamic analysis last week. And in order to do malware and malware analysis, you need to know all those topics, or be familiar, at least be familiar with all those topics. Here is a good example. Her what is reverse engineering slide. Take things apart, understanding how things work, which is really the core of security anyway. But if you take a look at like game plan, use reconnaissance and triage skills to determine a target starting point. That's reconnaissance was done early in the semester when we did Nmap scanning. So again, terminology is important. How about this one? Baseline environment. I think the first presentation, the first day we did, the first class, the first day we did command line. And also virtual and perhaps even virtual machines. Now, this training course, Amanda uses VirtualBox. Triage to determine a starting point. Static analysis, that was last week, get a sense where everything is before debugging. Dynamic analysis, determine behaviors that can't be understood by static analysis, which is running the actual piece of program, or in this case, malware. There's an environment setup, anatomy of a Windows portable executable format. There's even a slide on x86, the assembly language. But this is a real good slide. I'm actually gonna stop my PSA. Her typical this slide on typical attack flow, and this should become really familiar when we talked about the cyber kill chain when we did Nmap and reconnaissance. We had reconnaissance, exploitation, infiltration, internal reconnaissance. This diagram looks a little bit familiar with the cyber kill chain. Cyber command and control, exfiltration, purge. Okay, typical attack flow of malware. Now, malware is, by definition, it's a combination of two words: malicious software. That is, so then you put the two together, it's malware. But the thing about malware is there are many different classes, or what I like to call families of the mafia. And the problem is too many people use the terms incorrectly. The most common misconception is people mix up viruses and worms. So what a virus is a piece of malware, is code that propagates across systems with user intervention. That means it's going to require things like someone clicking on an email or someone opening up a program. A worm, however, is code that self-propagates and replicates across systems and, more importantly, networks, computer networks, without requiring any user intervention. The only maybe a small exception is the initial launch point. Okay, you even see bots, Trojan, malware that is disguised as legitimate software. So, for example, you're trying to if let's say, for example, you download Fortnite. You're trying to download Fortnite for free or some game for free. Uh, but what you download actually contains a lot more than what you bargained for. Ransomware, malware that holds the victim's data stored by cryptography by any other means. Rootkits, backdoor, enables a remote attacker to have access to or send commands to a compromised computer. Okay? So, what we're going to do today is we're going to look at three. We're going to look at three types of malware. One of them is a virus. The other one will be a backdoor, my absolute favorite, and the third is going to be an Android, a malicious Android app of some sort. Now that's what we're going to do. So we're going to do demonstration now of, we're going to do in the following order: a virus, followed by a backdoor, followed by an Android app. We're actually going to take apart an Android app of some sort. Okay? So, let's start off with a virus, a computer virus. I have on my GitHub, gist.github.com/mchow01. So here on my Google Gist, I have an example of a very safe virus, also known as a foo virus. Here is the code. All publicly available, all for you to take. You can use it. I did not write this. Professor Apk Purdue actually wrote this. So all the credit to Avi at Purdue. Thank you so much. This was written in 2006. So this is a safe virus that works. Doesn't do any damage to a system, but what it does, it shows it's a great demonstration of a self-replicating program and how viruses actually work. And I'm gonna do this demonstration. This is a 37-line program in Perl, written in Perl, which the language just brings back horrible memories because it's like the second coming of voodoo. 37 lines, and I have a copy of it here on my command line, foolvirus.pl. Here it is. 37 lines. So what it is a self-replicate demonstration of how easy it is to write a self-replicating program. This virus will infect, how it works is this. This virus will infect all files ending with names in .foo in the directory, which you can execute an infected file. If you send an infected file to someone else and they execute it, their .foo files will be damaged also. Notice that this is a safe virus that does not carry a harmful payload. How would you stop a virus from propagating? Well, so Evan, how would you stop a virus from propagating? Well, are we talking about viruses from the 2000s, or we're talking about a virus in 2022? Evan's question is, your question is extremely good. But I want to actually, to answer that question, maybe I want to answer that question right now. Okay. How a computer virus works is very much the same, if not identical, to how a biological virus works. So give me an example. So Evan, give me an example, okay, Evan, give me an example of a biological virus. Look, we've been in one for the last couple of years. Mr. Tove said quarantine. Okay, so how does a biological virus works? Okay, a biological virus, let's speak it out. A biological virus will do some damage of some sort. It needs to spread of some way. Okay, so how would you stop a biological virus from propagating? So of course I can make this into a finer question. How do you actually stop COVID from propagating? And now Mr. Tove said quarantine. Did that really work? And I guess if you have this conversation on COVID, okay, how do you stop COVID from propagating? Also, does quarantine also stop it from propagating? And so far, it's been over 3 years now, and well, what are your thoughts? So Evan's question is a very good one. So if this was a virus from the 2000s, okay, maybe you can use antivirus to stop it. But the problem with antivirus software, and why I've never used antivirus or anti-malware software for all these years, is guess what? Is because, viruses change shape and form all the time. Biological virus, computer virus, they all change shape and form all the time. So stopping a virus from propagating is extremely difficult. Look no further in the real world than COVID. Okay, so going back to this example, I'm just going to do this example out. So what this is a 37-line program. So look, even if you don't know how to read Perl, which is an awful language at times, it was a thing back in the 2000s. So in plain English, how this piece of virus works is, first of all, it makes a copy of itself, all 37 lines. Then this part right here to my file, .foo, what it'll do is look for every file that ends in .foo, open that file up, plop itself onto it, and that's that. Okay? So, here we are. I'm going to do an ls minus l here. How many files do you actually see here that's listed? Okay? If I do an ls minus l, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 files. See 5 files here. Okay? So far, so good. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a whole bunch of .foo files. So I'm actually going to do vim Mr. Tove .foo. One word, quarantine. I'm now also going to create another .foo file called Evan is the best 33 .foo. Hello, Evan. Thanks. I'm going to put hi. And who else? Okay, I'll just do vim. Just give a shout out to SJS Smiley. .foo. And I'm going to say Abel was Zaire. I saw Alba. Also known as a perfect palindrome. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 files. 3 of them are .foo files. I'm going to make another... Actually, I'm going to hold off onto the .foo file. Hey, so you see 8 files here, right? Okay. Now, I want you to take a visual snapshot of this terminal screen. A visual snapshot of this terminal screen. Visual. Now, I'm not even going to run the virus yet. I'm not going to actually execute a virus and have it spread. None. I'm not going to do that. But keep an eye on things like the file permission and the file size. Keep an eye on that. Okay? All right. So now, what I'm going to do is to execute the foo virus. To execute the foo virus, I'm going to Perl foo virus.pl. And this will work. And there it is. Hello from Foo Virus. This is a program, this is a demonstration of how easy it is to write a self-replicating program. This virus will infect all profiles with the names ending in .foo in the directory in which you execute an infected file. If you send an infected foo to someone else and they execute it, their .foo file will be damaged as well. Oh, .pl, Perl. Man, Perl. Oh, God. So what is Perl? .pl is a file extension for the Perl programming language. Let me just say, Mr. Toph, about Perl, if you have nothing good to say, in this case me, if I have nothing good to say, I'm not going to say anything at all. I'll just leave it at that. Okay? Put it this way, all my Perl books have been donated. Alright, so I'm going to do an ls-l again. So, take a visual, remember I told you to take a visual snapshot of the command line? Remember I told you to take a visual of my terminal. Now, the foo virus has been executed. Does anyone notice something? Notice the changes? First of all, the permission has changed. Actually, I can scroll up. You notice that the .foo file, Mr. Toph, Evan is the best 33, and SJS Smiley, they all had the permission read-write, readable, and read by everyone else at 644. Also, the file size were pretty damn small. SJS's was a 26, Mr. Toph was an 11, and Evan is the best was a 6. But now it gets worse. Now, all the .foo files, I have the permission read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read, write, execute, all across the board. That's 7777. But you also notice that the .foo files now have actually ballooned in size, big time. Yep. Oh, shoot. Okay, but wait a minute. I'm going to create a file, a .foo file called radang. .foo. Let's save some text. So now, radang, your .foo file is size 33, read, write, readable, readable. Okay? So if I look at radang.foo, look at the size of that thing, one line. Hold on. But okay, so now I just created radang.foo. But earlier, a couple minutes ago, I ran the foo virus. Did it do anything to the existing .foo files? Evan is the best 33, Mr. Toph, and SJS Smiley. Take a look. If I do a more sjsmiley.foo, you see an entire copy of all 37 lines of the piece of the virus. But you also notice that Abel was here, I saw Elba commented out. More, Evan is the best. Same idea. Has all 37 lines, and hi, that your text in the original document all commented out. And now if I do, what did I just do? Oh, Mr. Tof. Mr. Tof.foo, quarantine, that commented out. Because I executed the foo virus first time around. But wait a minute. I have a radang.foo here. Look at the size of that thing. You know what I'm going to do now? What if, because you know sjsmiley.foo is read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read, write, execute. Does that mean it is now possible to execute sjsmiley.foo? Perhaps. /sjsmiley.foo. Hey, the permissions after the first initial infection, okay, after the initial infection of sjsmiley, you know, it changed everything, including the file permission and the size. Does that mean I can execute sjsmiley now? What happens if I open up sjsmiley.foo? Boom. Hello from Foo Virus. Also, for your interest, Mr. Tof, Perl is built in to essentially all Linux distributions these days, and also on Mac OS. So Perl is one of those programs that is built into all to Linux and Mac OS. All right. So apparently I can execute sjsmiley.foo now. See what happens. Wait a minute. Now what happens? Remember I kept on showing the contents of radang.foo? Only had one line. Now look at what happened to radang after I ran sjsmiley.foo. Radang.foo, the file permissions have changed, but also the file size is also ballooned as well. If I do more radang.foo, you got 37 lines of code, runs a virus, and, well, how the hell that, whoa, that's interesting. Look at the size of that thing to not get commented out. That's weird. That's weird. That's very strange. But wait a minute. Let me do an ls minus LA again. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 foo files now. But what about sjsmiley? Did that change after I ran foo virus a second time around by way of sjsmiley.foo? It didn't. It didn't, because sjsmiley Evan was .foo, Mr. Tope was .foo. It was already, those .foo files already infected. Those files were already infected. But running the virus a second time does not reinfect the file. And that is also in line with how a biological virus works. Let's say you have the flu. You currently have the flu. The problem is when you currently have the flu and someone gives you a flu by like coughing at you, you can't get the flu twice in one sitting. Like you can't get the flu while you're already infected. Yep, maybe the virus is broken. I don't know. Okay. But what's also interesting is the foo virus, did it actually affect any of the other files? No, it only affects .foo files. So if I do bim, Leppy. I don't know if Leppy is on the air. vimleppy.bar, and I do insert hi Leppy. And let's say I just now run rating.foo /rating.foo. Oh, there's a syntax error. Weird. Alright, well, what will Mr. Toast? Okay. So now the virus has run 3 times. First by way of foovirus.pl, then by sjsmiley.foo, and now by way of Mr. Toast.foo. But now if I take a look at leppy.bar, because it was created before I ran foo virus by way of Mr. Toast, it doesn't get affected. So would it not comment out the virus code and replace? Is there some kind of a vaccine program? Yeah, that's a great question. Did executing .yad affect the other foo file? And the answer is no, it did not. It did not. Did executing /? No, it did not. So if you take a look at Mr. Toast.foo, you only see the virus 1 time. Oh, you only see the virus 1 time. The virus code 1 time. Also, if you take a look at rating.foo, 1 time. One time for SJS Smiley. It doesn't reinfect a foo file that's been already infected. It's not happening. Okay? So wait a minute. Now let's go to Evan's question. So would it not comment out the virus code and replace it? Is there a way to make some kind of a vaccine program? Yeah. Okay, Evan. Yeah, we can make a vaccine program right now. We can. Well, let's talk it through. How would you actually make a vaccine program? There's a couple ways I can think of. There's a couple ways I can actually think of how you can write a vaccine program against foo virus. There's a couple ways. One way is this. One way to make a vaccine program, Evan, is make a copy. Like, say, for example, I do a copy of the entire source code. I just copy the entire source code. Now, actually, let's go to your Evan is the best 33.foo. The other way is, one way is, remember that all that code I copied? Is to do if I try to do a find, well, did it find all 37 lines as is? Yes, it does. So a vaccine program is, if it finds the exact code as it is, delete it. Also, might as well delete the pound symbol. So Evan is the best 33.foo is now fixed, vaccinated. The other issue is this. The other way you can build a vaccine program. Yeah, can I do this with SJS Smiley? Find, yep. Find all 37 lines as it has to be 100% match. Delete, and there you go. The other way is a very common way to do it is quote unquote prevention before you run anything. This is how antivirus and anti-malware software work for years. If you know a piece of virus or a piece of malware, just calculate, let's say, the checksum. In this case, I'll do a SHA-256 of foovirus.pl. So you build a dictionary of name of the file or virus or a piece of malware for, with the corresponding and its corresponding hash value. You can use MD5, you can use SHA-1. I'm using SHA-256 for now. And if anyone ever tried to download or open up a file, like when you download a file and it actually matches the hash, so if I download foovirus.pl, what it'll do is just check the hash value, the SHA-256 of foovirus.pl, and if it matches the checksum, bang, you got a match. Don't download it. Don't download the file. Don't run the file. Quarantine it. That's how antivirus and anti-malware software work for years. But the problem is, and this is why antivirus and anti-malware security software don't work very well. The problem is a quintessential example, something like COVID. I mean, it changes shape and form all the time. So you're always just going to be fighting a losing battle by just updating a dictionary, getting a and it's just a never-ending battle. It always ends up being a reactive process. Okay? Always a reactive process. So this is great because now not only did I demonstrate a virus, although it's not entirely real, but it's a functional one, but it demonstrates how a virus works. But we also talked about, how to build a simple antivirus engine or, quote unquote, a vaccine program. So I want to thank you, Evan, for that. So it's funny that you had to bring up this topic about some ML person. Oh God. So now the problem with antivirus software is just loaded with, well, actually it is. And unfortunately, a lot of antivirus software now is like loaded with ML. But you know that there are always going to be edge cases which throw the whole thing off. What did you do to the hash value? I didn't catch. I just calculated the hash value. But what I want to prove, the bound list is great. Your question is a good reminder because the whole point of a hash value is this. The whole point of a hash value is you get to know, you create a dictionary of all the known pieces of malware. Malware name followed by the hash value. So let's say, for example, you're trying to download a file or a program off the internet. And you know the internet is like the red light district. You download the file and it actually matches, 61 yada yada 712, you know that the person is trying to download foo virus. So the pieces of what happens is, so you're going to say, don't download it, don't run it, quarantine it. So that's what the whole point of a hash value is. Hash value is just great for just checking, for dangerous downloads. Hey, if it's in the what? Think of it, it's a blacklist. So if it's in the blacklist, don't download it, don't run it, quarantine it. Got it? Oh, it's funny that you're to bring this up now because the next piece of malware, and I showed this on Malware Unicorn's site, was one of my absolute favorite pieces of malware. Backdoor. Backdoors. One of my absolute favorite pieces of malware. A backdoor, what it is, it enables an attacker to make a connection to your computer remotely, bypassing all sorts of security, permissions, protection, yada, yada, yada. Backdoors is one of my absolute favorite. The other thing about backdoors is, I'm sure you may have heard of this conversation that the government wants to backdoor access into every single technology device in the world, like iPhones, iPad, computers. It's the same idea. It enables someone to just have access to send you commands or whatever, yada yada yada. And what I'm going to show you next, this demonstration of a real backdoor, a good old backdoor, illustrate how dangerous backdoors can be. Can compromise computers with all sorts of security mechanisms in place. And also, this will actually illustrate why backdoors, government access to devices, is such a dangerous idea. One of my favorite pieces of malware as a backdoor is extremely tiny. And that's what it is called. It's called teeny. You can call it tiny as you want. The sad thing is, teeny is no longer available publicly. But, however, teeny. Have anyone ever heard of something called the archive.org? The Wayback Machine? The Wayback Machine. And I still have access to it. There it is. The Wayback Machine. Yes. Now, ntsecurity.nu. This is the page. Oh, yeah. Now, this has not been around for a bunch of years now. But this was absolutely my absolute favorite piece of malware because it's tiny. It's called Teeny. T-I-N-I. Aha. So I hear a lot of shouting here. Yes. Throughout this whole course, you have seen port 7777 used. So you may be wondering why I've been using port 7777 used quite a bit in this whole my security course, and it leads to this. Yes. Teeny, or tiny, is a simple and very small 3 kilobyte backdoor for Windows, coded in assembler. That's it. It listens at port TCP port 7777 and gives anybody connects by way of a command prompt. Usage instructions is very simple. Download the exe file and run it. Connect with an ordinary telnet client or similar, like Netcat, to port TCP port 7777 and press enter once. Now you will see the command prompt and be able to type in commands. Now, can you download a copy of Teeny? Yeah, sure. Let's do it. From the archive? Yeah. There you go. But watch what happens. I'm going to say download is going to download teeny.exe, as you can see, but I'm going to hit save. Watch what happens. Notice something? You see something? We'll get better. Take a look. Take a look at the browser screen. Take a look at the browser screen. Upper right corner. This file contains malware. I don't think a lot of people know this, but a lot of web browsers have a built-in blacklist or like a la antivirus. Here it is. Show more information. This file contains a virus or malware. This file contains a virus that will harm your computer. So you can have remove the file, allow to download. Let's allow to download. So download it. Now, I downloaded it. Hold on for a second. Now we downloaded it. How do we know this is real malware? How do we know this is real malware? And what I like to tell people is, look, at anytime you download something, if it looks weird, you want to send it to VirusTotal. Go to VirusTotal.com. Yes, and SJS Smiley actually. Yes, go to VirusTotal.com. VirusTotal is now owned by Google. So I used VirusTotal for years, And what VirusTotal is, you can upload file, URL, or search. Terms of service is, by submitting data below, you are agreeing to our terms of service policy, terms of service and privacy policy, and this is important. This is kind of a good thing, is sharing of your samples submission with the security community. Do not submit any personal information. VirusTotal is not responsible for your submission. Now, VirusTotal is really generous. The max size of your upload is 650 megabytes. Back in the early 2010s, the max file size was 64 megabytes. That's why I set my PCAPs to be 64 megabytes, so actually you can send them to VirusTotal. Of course, I don't need that provision anymore. Okay. Yes, you can also upload PCAP files as well too, and it'll do all sorts of analyses on it. But this time, I'm just going to choose a file. I'm just going to upload teeny.exe that I just downloaded, and there you go. "62 security vendors and 2 sandboxes flag this file as malicious." That's a good sign. Hey, 62 out of a 69 is kind of way high. You can see all the security softwares out there. Too many of them. A lot of useless crap, too. Microsoft calls it a backdoor. Sophos called it a Trojan. You can see how confusing terminology is. Sometimes people call it a backdoor. Some people call it a Trojan as well. I guess you can have it both. And these ones right here could not detect it. F-Secure, which is very surprising. Baidu could not detect it. You can see the hash value of teeny.exe that you downloaded. But the most important thing now is, go to the details. You can see all the basic properties of the piece of malware. In this case, teeny.exe. DMD5 SHA-1 SHA-256 checksum values. File size, 3 kilobytes. History. First seen in the wild. Wait, this is weird. Creation time, September 5th of 2000. But the first seen in the wild was, now that's weird, November 5th of 2009. The file goes by a bunch of different names: teeny.exe, 438.exe, 3332.exe, a whole bunch. Sample 1, 1652, 1527. Portable executable environment. Again, if you want to learn more about portable executable environments, PEs, take a look at Windows Malware Unicorns training. Imports. Uses kernel 32.dll, winsock 32.dll. Yeah. What are relationships? IP addresses. Is there any IP addresses? No. Behaviors. Here it is. cmd.exe. You can see what, quote unquote, kind of how it works. Just fires up cmd.exe. Modules loaded, all the DLL files in Windows. And here you can also see community comments regarding this piece of malware. Yeah. Okay. So you may be wondering now, how does this damn thing work? How does teeny.exe works? Unfortunately, I don't have Windows on my home network anymore. I don't even have a lab, a malware lab or server. But fear not. Don't worry. I got a video I created many years ago, a few years ago. I think it was during the pandemic. I'll show it to you. How teeny.exe works. Alright, so stop, up. Wait. Uno momento, por favor. I'm going to pause. Alright, so this was November 6th. I think this was like a while ago. So here it is. Shut the window. Alright, I'm going to play. I'm on my Mac, and now I'm going to actually turn on Windows 7, a virtual machine instance on my home network. Now remember, this is Windows 7, and I'm on my, that's a Windows 7 virtual machine. And I'm on my Mac, and my main workstation is a Mac. Still is up to this day. So watch what happens. So on the virtual machine, on Windows 7, I would open up Windows Explorer. I would go to an IP address to download. No, ask me later. I'm going to go, I forgot what the hell it was. Go to http://34.74.110.173, and I'm going to download Fortnite.zip. I'm going to stop here. So what happens is this. Fortnite.zip was the download, which actually you probably realize what it is. It's a version of Teeny. So I actually renamed Teeny.exe into, I think it was Fortnite.exe. Here it is. So here it is, I downloaded Fortnite.zip. So I'm gonna close it, but I'm gonna actually open up Fortnite.zip, and it's gonna extract. Oh, wait a minute! Stop right there. So you see that Fortnite file, that actually ends up at Fortnite.exe inside Fortnite.zip. Fortnite.exe is really Teeny.exe, as you'll see. So what I do is I extract the Fortnite.exe, but now I'm actually gonna go to cmd.exe. And the reason why I have cmd.exe is I want to show you my IP address. The IP address on the virtual machine is 192.168.1.205. Again, the Windows 7 virtual machine is 192.168.1.205. It's important to know. Now I'm going to run Fortnite.exe, which is Teeny.exe. Run it, and that's it. Well, wait, that was it? What execution? Yeah. Now what's what happened on my Mac? I'm just gonna do a netcat to that IP address of the Windows machine at port 7777. Oh shit! Nothing happened. Oh, I had to hit the Enter key again. Boom. Got cmd.exe. Now, like any other hacking tool, you just want to actually type calc.exe on the command line to fire up a command line. Fire up the calculator. Also known as popping calculators. Now I'm just going to actually write a file on the Windows machine on my Mac. The word hi and a dummy.txt. And there you go. You see dummy.txt gets created. And that's a backdoor. That's a demonstration of Teeny, the backdoor, port 7777. That's all. Running the piece of malware on Windows for the victim is very innocuous. It looks like nothing good. But what happens is that just spawns up shell in the background. You use netcat on your host, on your host machine, or your attacker machine. Netcat IP address 7777. Hit the Enter key, and hit the Enter key again. And congratulations, you just bypassed all security mechanisms. No need to enter in the password. No need to, none of that stuff. And that's why backdoors are so dangerous, because it just bypasses all sorts of security mechanisms. built on, well, in this case, a Windows 7. Notice I didn't even need to enter a Windows password. In this case, was DEFCON for the username. You use the same idea of a backdoor, and now you can actually understand why backdoors for technology, any technology. When the government asks to build a backdoor into an iPhone or iOS, now you know why it's so dangerous. To make the problem even worse, what happens? Remember, sure, they say only government can have access to a backdoor, but how the hell you know who's going to connect by way of a backdoor? You don't know. Yep. Got it. So that's a backdoor, one of my absolute favorite demos of favorite demos. Okay. So the last piece of malware I want to demonstrate is a piece of Android malware. Yeah. A little piece of Android malware, and I actually have a piece of Android malware here in my malware folder called sample.apk. Now, for the last and final lab of the security course, cs116.org, the final lab of the course, and it's also made publicly available to anyone, is a real Android malware analysis. Why Android? Why Android for malware? That's a longer conversation for another day, but the problem with Android is the distribution model. It is not as draconian as Apple, where you have to submit the app, and then you have to pay $100 for a developer fee, and there is static and dynamic analysis and human review of an app on Android. On iOS. Android is basically, for years, it worked like this. For years, Android worked like, anyone can upload anything that they want. Okay? Maybe if I have time today, I'll go on a vicious rant about Android security for years. Okay, so this is the final lab of Android, of my security course on real Android malware analysis. So really the tool, the important tool to use is Apk Tool. How Android binaries work. If for example, you're downloading Instagram, Hearthstone, whatever your favorite app is on Android, what you're downloading is what you call an APK file. An APK file is very much like, it's a binary. It's very much like an .exe for Windows. Okay? iOS is IPA, it's called IPA. Android apps are largely written in Java. One interesting thing about APK files in Android is they work very much like, they look and smell very much like zip files, compressed files. But the tool is Apk Tool. What it does is it not only extracts the content of an APK file, but Apk Tool is used to extract the content of an APK file. But Apk Tool is also used to rebuild and modified apps as well too. Apk Tool is free and open source. Apk Tool, what it is, and here's the official website. It's a tool to reverse engineer. It's a tool to reverse engineer Android APK files. It's a tool for reverse engineering third-party closed binary Android apps. It can decode resources to nearly identical original form and rebuild them after making some modifications. Okay? Apk Tool is really easy to use. Apk Tool D, space D, whatever the name of your APK file is. And what it will do, it will just reverse engineer the entire app. Excuse me. Okay? So I know on Mac OS, on the M1, using Homebrew, you can install Apk Tool. But the caveat is it requires Java. Okay? So using Homebrew on a Mac, you can do brew install Apk Tool. I already got it installed. If you're on Kali Linux, sudo apt install apk tool. That's how you would do it. If you're using Kali Linux, sudo apt install apk tool. Okay, so I'm going to take a look at this folder again. What a file folder that we've been working with. I have a sample.apk here. Sample.apk. Now, what I'm not going to do is, I'm not going to send the sample.apk that I'm going to upload, that we're going to be analyzing to VirusTotal. We're not going to do that right away, because we're going to use Apk Tool to reverse engineer the entire APK file. So I'm going to clear the screen. I'm going to Apk Tool d sample.apk. And watch what happens. That's it. Done. All done. ls-l. And you notice that there is a folder called sample now created. Take a look. cd sample. So now what happens is the sample.apk reverse engineered. The first and most important file to take a look at first is the Android manifest file. The manifest file contains all sorts of good stuff, such as app permissions. If anyone ever downloaded an app from the Google Play Store and you see all those app permissions, like, before you download it that no one reads, well, it's all generated from what is called the manifest file. Hold on. More. Oh, okay, manifest. So here it is. Label, what the hell? Huh? You can see all the classes that I use. What the hell is org.mary.core? Is that a telephone number? Wait a minute. So now, okay. Boot _ completed. So, okay, this app must have to do something with boot being completed. SMS _ received. Does that mean that has to do with something with text messages? The hell? SMS _ sent. Huh? This isn't that good. Oh, what the hell? Now we have all the permissions for this app. Read SMS, receive SMS, read external, write external storage, read phone state, send SMS, receive, boot completed, read contacts. Why? Access location, access extra commands. This is really sketch. These are all the Android permissions, all the permissions of this app. This is not good. The other that's not good. So there's a lot of red flags here, a lot of permissions. The other folder that you really want to check out next is the RES. These are where all the resources of the apps are, like string files. Anyone ever heard of something called icons and pictures? They're all here. So under the res folder of sample, all the resources, drawable. That's where all the icons and stuff are. Okay, we have an icon. Layout. All the values, like strings. We'll take a look. cd-res, cd values, more strings.xml. Main activity. Weird. Okay. cd layout. browser.xml. Let me do more.xml. Weird. Okay. The problem is there's some apps that are just really sketchy, and you can just see like dead giveaways in like the drawable folder. So finally is a monstrosity known as Smiley, CD Smiley. And there's a whole bunch of classes here. Do an LS star. You can see the, yeah, what is, let's go to cdorg.mary. cdmary. cd core. And you see these things called .smiley files. So I'm just going to do more log.smiley. And what it is this is basically what it's like. It looks like assembly. It's Java assembly. But what you can do, if you have to, what you can do to analyze. Ooh, wait a minute. Holy shit. Hold on. What's this? What's that? What's Xbot? That's not good. You can actually just grep through the entire, you can also, grep through the entire Smiley folder and look for any URLs. What the hell is Xbot? Okay, maybe it's now time to go back to VirusTotal and upload that sample. Go to virustotal.com, choose a file, go to my desktop, go to my documents, go to malware, go to sample.apk, what we just analyzed, what we've been analyzing. I'm going to send this to VirusTotal, see what happens. Ooh. $34 security vendors. No sandboxes flagged this file as malicious. And I see Xbot being referenced quite a bit. What the hell is that? Go to details. See all the basic properties. The hack, you've seen this. First submission, 2015. All the related names of this APK, of this app. Even gets into, this is a different part. This is Android information. Boom. All the permissions. What we just saw in the Android manifest file. Activities of the app, services, receivers, intents. Interesting strings, receiving IP addresses here. This is not good. What about relationships? Yep. There's a lot of relationships with other IP addresses that are also malicious. 192.192.227.137.154. Classes. This is not good. Let's take a look at the community information. What is this Xbot thing? There you go. Xbot. New Android Trojan Xbot phishes credit card and bank accounts and encrypts devices from ransom. There you go. Here is the technical write-up. So you may be wondering, how did I get my hands on this piece of malware? Well, the answer is GitHub. You Google GitHub Android malware. where I got it from. Yeah. Last update, April 15th. Almost a day. Lots of Android malware here. All Android malware. Xbot. Boom. There it is. The article I just showed you. This repository currently have 298 samples. All live samples. Okay? So if you're interested in this stuff, a lot of content, a lot of good stuff out there, all for free. Back in the heydays, if you wanted Android, back in the days, if you wanted malware samples, you had to like go through like underground mailing list. You go to underground mailing list. You had to know friends of friends of friends. You had to go to like super secret. Now, nah, you don't need to do that. So many, and so many malware samples. Whether it's Android, whether it's Windows, whatever, it's all on GitHub. GitHub malware samples. You want to have some fun and you want to learn more about this stuff? Yeah, I got a malware samples. So many repositories. And most of them are just live. The Zoo, I had this for a while. I dumped it. I didn't know what to do with it. So much. A lot of stuff is on. And you may be wondering, why in the world do people post like malware samples on GitHub? And the important reason is if you're a security researcher, especially if you're doing, whether you're a learner, whether you're a professional, amateur, whatever level security researcher you are doing malware, you need data. You need sample. You need data to work with. And, whatever data that you can get, the more data, the better it is. This one has malware samples caught by honeypots. You have JavaScript malware collection. Tons of free malware. And the more data, the more samples you can work with, the better. Great for researchers. It's also a double-edged sword that can be used by the attackers as well, too. Okay? So it's a double-edged sword, but definitely a lot more benefit, a lot more good. Because for those who are doing defense and learning, huge benefit when you have all the data available for real data, real live data that you can use. Yeah. Don't run on production. And that's it. That's all I got for today. Lots of opportunities for you to have fun and to learn more on malware. But now I hope after today you understand why I organized my security course for all these years the way I have been. Because it all leads to malware. And when you're doing malware analysis, you need to have some understanding of a lot of different topics. Networks, how network works, how the web works, cryptography, CVEs, static analysis, dynamic analysis, password cracking, scanning, sniffing, need all that. Okay? With that said, that's all I got. That's all I have. So, thank you for tuning in. Yeah, and have a good one. Yeah, fun. Yeah, yeah. I don't want to go on to a rant of my problem with Google. If VirusTotal scans a file, what if one or two software detects bad stuff? I think that's a great question. That's a great question. I think how VirusTotal works is it creates like a sandbox of all these different anti-security software engines, and think of a Docker container. And if one of the software doesn't return back anything, then too bad. There's nothing. Yeah. Thanks, Jake. Yeah, I'll save my rant for Google for another day. I don't want to get banned yet. Take care, folks.